Pittsburgh Steelers fans, thanks for joining us for another Sunday edition of We Run the North, a BTSC show on this network. Today, I'm Kevin. I'm Kevin Tate, contributor to the BTSC podcast, host of my own podcast, the Know It Alls podcast. With me today, I have our resident Bengals super fan, the homie B Dirt, Brandon. What's up, B?
What's going on, Tate? Thanks for having me on again. As I always tell you, I appreciate being on here. I do live in Pittsburgh, for those that don't know or seen it for the first time, seeing me on here for the first time. So I do have some interesting takes on not just Bengals, but just the Steelers, the city of Pittsburgh, the AFC North. So,
hey, man, I got a feeling some people going to see you on the street, man, and say, hey, you're that Bengals fan that lives in our territory.
You know, it's funny. It already happened at work. I didn't tell you about that, but it happened at work, actually. One of the guys that work in the warehouse was like, hey, did I see you on the BTSC? And I said, yeah, the We Run the North. He goes, yeah. He goes, take that Bengals flag down. First thing he said.
Right.
It was my boy Chris Brown.
Okay. It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
But so man, today, thanks for joining me again. Well, we're going to talk about, it's really tough to find things to talk about this time of year. It's kind of a dead time between the OTAs and between when training camp actually starts. Draft is done, free agency is done. So this is that like 1 month period of the NFL season, on a year calendar that is kind of like not a lot to talk about. So we got to kind of have to create our own content and things to talk about.
And the sports calendar in general, it's a dead time, right?
Unless you're a baseball
we got hockey. We got hockey right now, but even
hockey playoff.
Baseball's got too many games to get too excited about a single day's game. You know what I mean? Like the playoffs are great, but you got 162 games. I mean, I just went to the game on Father's Day here in Pittsburgh. Great game, but it's hard unless you're at the game to get real excited about a daily game.
Britsburg Owen, what's up, man? Hey, I sent you a tweet, man, with my information. I was expecting to hear back from you, but maybe you didn't get to tweet. But what's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you? But no, finishing what I was saying, looking for something to talk about. On the Scobro show on Tuesday night, they ended that broadcast with a question: who was the Steelers quarterback when you became a fan? And for me, it's Terry Bradshaw. I'm a 70s kid. I actually will be 50 later this summer. So
I didn't know you were going to admit that.
What's that?
I didn't know you were going to admit that.
Oh, come on, man. You look this.
I got more grays than you.
I'm almost 50. The grays are coming in.
I got more than you.
You probably doing. You're about what, 4 years younger than me?
45. Yeah, about 4.
And you had your birthday already this year?
No, I turned 46 September.
Oh, well, so yeah, I was turned 50 in September. So yeah, I'm 4 years older than you. But we've been buddies since way back. We used to play poker together and stuff, all night poker games and stuff. You remember those games?
We gotta cut those off early now.
Oh yeah. No, there's no way I could go to 4 a.m. now. My wife won't let me stay out that late. I didn't have a wife back then. But no. So Terry Bradshaw was a quarterback for me, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about quarterbacks, not only the Steelers quarterbacks, but the other quarterbacks in the division. And ask the live chat, like, who was the quarterback of the Steelers when you became a fan? And if you remember, who were the quarterbacks of the other teams in the division when you became a fan? So we're kind of just going to have some quarterback talk today, man. And, like I said, for me, it's Terry Bradshaw as far as the Steelers go. Who is it for you as far as the Bengals quarterback? Who was the quarterback of the Bengals when you became a fan?
When I became a real big fan, it wasn't until I was 10 years old. So it was Boomer just started then. So I'm a 76 kid. So Boomer just took over the helm at that point in time. Now, I remember watching games with my dad before that, but not, I was watching games with my dad when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And I remember watching Ken Anderson play, but I wasn't huge into him. When I went to my first game when I was 10, that was it. I was in. I was hooked at that point. I was Boomer.
Okay. And so you say you were 10, so that was about
10 or 11, yeah.
85, 86.
86 year, I think. 86, maybe 87.
George Teston said, "What's up, B Dirt?"
What's going on, George?
He said hello to me too. Don't think you're special. What's up, George?
Of course he did.
Reginald Rivers, happy birthday this Friday, man. What is that? Like the first of July?
Yeah, Friday's the 1st.
Okay, well, yeah, 57. See, you got an OG in here older than me, man. You thought you talking about me? I got somebody in here that's older than me. But yeah. So in the live chat, if you want to just put who the quarterbacks of the division were when you remember, we're gonna get to talking about some of these franchises, some of these quarterbacks and stuff like that. Me and B Dirt, but we welcome the comments in the live chat so we can pull them up and talk about, show your list of who the quarterbacks were in the division when you started your football fandom, your Steeler fandom. But B Dirt, so since you're here, man, let's just jump right on and talk about the Bengals quarterbacks, man. So you said Boomer was the first.
Yeah, Boomer was like the first quarterback I really rooted for, we've actually I view us as either hot or cold. I mean, we're either on it, we either got a great quarterback, or we are in complete misery. There's never like a solid quarterback, I think, in our franchise. Kenny Anderson was a great quarterback. Kind of transitioned right into Boomer, who was a great quarterback. His numbers, you look at him, his career numbers are sneaky good too. And then, Carson Palmer, I thought was a great quarterback. Now I think we're in a good spot with Boomer. The only one that I thought was a good quarterback, that serviceable manager, was Andy Dalton. And then you go into a bunch of bums. I mean, Jeff Blake threw a great deep ball. But then, look at our draft choices at quarterback. David Klingler, Achilles Smith. Achilles Smith really played 1 year of football in Oregon.
A draft bust. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, he played 1 year of football in Oregon. He was a baseball.
Hold that thought real quick, B Dirt. So, Jared Devil, Cordell was his first QB. He would wear his jersey to preschool. I feel really old. When Cordell was the quarterback, I'm about the same age as Cordell. I think Cordell might be a month or two. Like Cordell and Jerome Bettis, we're all like the same age. So, yeah. So to see that Jared
Devil was a
a
sophomore in college, or excuse me, I was a sophomore in high school when I think it was sophomore year. But I was playing golf in districts for Bath when he threw that touchdown pass to beat Michigan.
Against Michigan. I remember that.
Yeah, I walked in the door. It was the only play I saw of the entire game. Ripped my heart out.
I remember watching that game. I was feeling kind of ill that day. I think it was like a Saturday in October. And yeah, and I believe it was the Michael Westbrook who would later go on to play for the Washington, formerly Redskins, now football team, now Commanders. But yeah, and just want to pull some of these. Here's GT George Teston, man.
He's got the whole league.
We all got the same list. I remember a little bit of Dan Pastorini, but I guess I got to remember Dan Pastorini. But I just remember Earl Campbell was the horse on those teams. You know what I mean?
Some of these guys, even though you remember them, they're just not memorable. You know what I mean? Dan Pastorini's not somebody on that list of those four quarterbacks that's going to stand out.
That's a good list, though. He remembers everybody. That's a great list, George. We got Brian Hensley. Neil O'Donnell was his first Steeler QB. So that goes back to about what we said about 91-ish, 91 and 96. I think Neil O'Donnell was a quarterback. But yeah, back to the Bengals quarterbacks. So you guys spent the first round pick on David Klingler.
Achilles Smith.
We
patchworked in what was the guy that had the small hands that always fumbled? Kitna. John Kitna he came from Seattle or someplace. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he went. So my second team, being Cincinnati and Detroit fan, my second team's always been the Lions. He played for both teams and did kind of blah at both. But I remember I liked watching Jeff Blake throw the deep ball to Pickens, but I mean for me it's Carson, Boomer, and Ken Anderson. Those are the guys I really remember.
And Ken Anderson, and that's another thing that we talked about that I know is Boomer and Ken Anderson both won league MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Bengals have more quarterbacks that have won league MVPs than the Steelers do.
Yeah, but if you want to talk about Hall of Famers, we got one. Anthony Munoz.
That is the Bengals' only Hall of Famer?
Only Hall of Famer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. So you look at that, you guys have what? 6 or 7 on your defense in 1 year.
Yeah.
Quite in the 70s. You know what I mean? You look at the team in the 70s, there's 7 guys playing on that side of the ball that are probably in the Hall of Fame.
You got Mean Joe Green. You got Lambert. You got Ham. Blunt. Johnny Shell. I think that's 5 right there, right?
Yep.
And yeah, that's like you said, that's from one team. That's not even going over to Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Stallworth, Swan.
Yep.
I think that's 10 off that team.
That's 10 right there.
Wow.
And we might be missing somebody.
I might be missing somebody. The Bengals only have Anthony Munoz.
Anthony Munoz, the only guy with a gold jacket.
Wow. That's something right there. Here, let's see what the homie Britsburg is saying. Best QB in the AFC North right now. That's a little bit of homerism, man. I have to admit,
that's a very objective list.
Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, number 1. I mean, I'm all for the Steelers, bro, but I can't say that. Joey Bungle,
man, that's rough crowd.
Lamar Jackson spelt wrong. Deshaun Watson spelled. I think that's intentional disrespect.
Yeah,
Owen.
It seems that way. I'm gonna tell you this. If you ask me, I'd go Burrow 1. I would go Deshaun Watson 2.
There you go.
I would say Trubisky 3.
And you're talking right now.
Right now, Trubisky 3 and number 4 on his take, and number 4 I would put Jacoby Brissett because that's who's going to play. I also agree with you. It's funny, Kevin. I was talking to Tate about that before we came on the air. For my money, just by the eye test, even though he didn't win an MVP, he didn't get to a Super Bowl, but by the eye test and the numbers, I would say Carson Palmer is also our best quarterback we've had. It's hard for I don't think that the game has changed so much that it's hard from era to era to look at yards as an actual stat, to look at yards, total touchdowns. The game, they pass so much more now. It's more of a pass-happy league, So how many times were you in a 4 wide receiver set in 1972?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that explains Joe Burrow's ascension to he's in the top 7 already after 1.5 years.
Yep. Yeah, I mean they play the game a lot different.
Who's the Bengals all-time career yardage leader? Do you know?
Yardage leader? I don't.
Kenny Anderson. I believe he has like 31,000 yards, which would have been a ton of yards
then
20 years ago. When he was done,
yeah.
I would bet he probably would have been in the top 10 when he was done. I don't know.
Boomer didn't have as many seasons.
No, not with the Bengals. I think he's like 26,000. Yeah, Kenny Anderson played.
Yeah, I'm looking at Anderson at 14 years with us.
Kenny Anderson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
13 years. 13, I'm sorry.
And went to a Super Bowl. I remember that Super Bowl against the 49ers. That was 81. I remember that playoff game against the Chargers, and it was freezing cold, like Wind chill with negative 50 something degrees.
Yeah, the ice
I
ball.
remember watching that game as maybe a 9-year-old kid or something at the time.
Yeah, they had Dan Fouts wanting to throw the ball over the yard, and it was negative 50 wind chill.
That probably really handicapped
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego at the time because that they had. I mean, you're already a team from California. You're not used to playing in the cold, but that was extreme cold for even the region at the time.
Now, I know how you're a numbers guy here. So I took out, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you two sets of numbers, and you tell me who you got. I took out yardage, like I said earlier. I don't think it's really that good. So completion percentage, 61.7% for a career, 227 total touchdowns versus 144 interceptions with a yards per catch at 10.9. Second quarterback, completion percentage 51.9%, 212 touchdowns, 210 interceptions, yard per catch 13.8 yards. Or what yards per completion, excuse me.
Okay.
Who are you taking out of those two? Number one or number two?
I'm taking number two.
Because you know who he is.
Because I know he's a 4-time Super Bowl win MVP.
But if you just go by those numbers, that's Flacco versus Bradshaw.
Flacco?
That's Flacco versus Bradshaw. It's an interesting comparison.
I saw that, man. I saw that. I knew Bradshaw had 2 more touchdowns. He did interceptions.
Yeah. A little more risk reward. You get 3 more yards per completion. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No doubt.
He definitely threw the ball downfield a lot more especially then versus now. They did throw the ball downfield. And
I think that was his thing. He took shots.
Yeah.
He took shots. He's a true shot taker, at the quarterback position, throwing the deep ball to Swan and Stallworth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wasn't much fear back there, that's for sure.
Yeah, but no, if I was being unbiased and had not known the numbers, I would have took quarterback 1. But
I knew when I got those interceptions in there, you'd be like, I know who that is.
I knew who that was.
I watched the twinkle in your eye as soon as I said 210 interceptions. You was like, that's my guy.
Right. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna rank my top 3 Bengals quarterbacks. Did you rank yours, right? Top 3 Bengals quarterbacks?
Yeah, I said I can't put Burrow in there yet with only a season and a half. I put Palmer 1, I put Boomer 2, and I put Ken Anderson 3. I think if Boomer would have had the extra 6 years that Ken Anderson did, he would have smashed all those records.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. So no Dalton at all?
No.
Wow.
No.
So
outside looking in.
Outside, so somewhere in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely, top 5. If you want me to go 5, see, this is where it gets really. I'm looking at 5. If I'm still sticking to my gun, not putting Joe Burrow in there, I got to put Jeff Blake in. That's terrible. Like that's how bad it goes down. So yeah, I would say Dalton's 4. Now I think Burrow goes to the front of the line. You know what I mean? I think he's got VIP access. He just hasn't gotten in the club.
Right. He just got to get a little older to get in the club.
Yeah, a year and a half. If we wouldn't have fixed the offensive line, hopefully they'd do a lot better this year. But if we would have kept it status quo, he probably wouldn't have played more than 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so my top 5 Bengals quarterback, I would probably agree with you. I'll probably put Boomer on top as 1. I think I would put Kenny Anderson at 2. And Carson Palmer at 3.
So I put Carson at 1.
Right. So
you just flip 1 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm going ahead with the round out the top 5, I would have to put Andy Dalton in there. And come on, man. Joe Burrow got you to.
You got to put him there. You got to put him there.
I got to put him in there over Blake.
Yeah.
I
get that.
Yeah, That's where I'm at on the top 5 Bengals quarterbacks. So let's just go ahead and jump right to to make it quick because we talked about this at one time in the AFC Central. The Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Central.
Yeah,
this is a real easy one, right?
Mark Brunell and nobody else. That's it.
Right.
That's it. End of story. One guy.
Mark Brunell and nobody else. Hey man, and that was those Jacksonville teams coached by Tom Coughlin, who later went on to coach the Giants to 2 Super Bowls, were really good teams back then.
Yeah.
And Mark Brunell, they have a Hall of Famer. What's the tackle's name? Played at USC. Also, Munoz played at USC too, right?
No, yeah, he played at USC. What was the guy's name? Big dude, too, tall.
Tony Baselli.
Baselli, that's right.
I think Baselli's a Hall of Famer too.
Yeah, most definitely.
And Fred Taylor should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with
that just makes me think did you get a chance to see the Pivot podcast that Tommy was on this week?
I did not.
Man, you got to watch that, man. Even though you're not a Steeler fan, you're just a sports fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And man, it's great insight. I love the Pivot podcast. I watch a lot of them. I mean, they've had guests like Shaq on there and Charles Barkley and Floyd Mayweather and Jalen Ramsey, Caitlyn Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they have a lot of Ric Flair, a lot of diverse group of people. It's a great podcast. But
I was listening to Point Forward this week.
You did bring up Carl Pickens was a great receiver for the Bengals. But he's not George Pickens' dad. That's been said, and I think people think that was like speculation and rumor that people ran with. But yeah, he's not his dad. And GT, look, he's on it, man, because he's an OG, man. He remembered Baselli, yeah. But so the Jaguars QB is real easy. Mark Brunell, and that's all. So let's go ahead and jump to the Houston Oilers. They were in the division until they became the Tennessee Titans. Then they were in the division as the Titans until 2002 when they added a division, I believe. I believe it was the North, South, and Central, or Northeast. I can't remember how, but in 2002.
Wasn't North.
There was no North.
The Central, the East, the West, and the South, wasn't there? AFC West, AFC West, AFC South, AFC East, and AFC Central. That's what it was. Okay,
yeah. So the Titans were in the Central, were the Oilers. Then they became the Titans and were still in the Central. And then when the North came, they formed the AFC South in addition to the new AFC North. But Houston Oilers, man. So George let us know he remembered. Is it Pastorini, right?
Yeah, Pastorini.
I remember him vaguely, but like you said, some guys just aren't memorable. I remember then Kenny Stabler played a little bit for the Oilers too. Did he? I know he did.
That's before I was probably still pooping in my diapers.
Yeah, you probably were, man. But in the live chat, the homie Britsburg
Kevin said yes.
Is already on it.
That's I tell you what. I mean, you got Moon and McNair is a pretty good start, right?
Moon and McNair, yeah, for top, yeah. What else you think about the Oilers QBs?
Vince Young comes to mind. Not that he ended up being a dynamic pro, but wasn't very many collegiate players that I watched that was more exciting to watch than him. So obviously he stuck out in my mind. Didn't pan out the way maybe we thought he was going to.
He came in. Didn't he win Rookie of the Year? And he came in and they were really good. I don't know if I blame all that on Vince Young, and some of that might be Jeff Fisher, because Jeff Fisher couldn't win with Jared Goff, and then Sean McVay came in, took him to the Super Bowl.
I listened to
Kenny played for the Oilers for 2 years, 80 to 81. That's what I was looking for.
I listened to a couple of things on a podcast on Levitard and Friends, and Stu Gotts this past week asked a question because Jeff Fisher this year in the USFL went 2-8. He said, would Jeff Fisher find a way to lose 8 games in a 7-game season? Was one of the questions he asked. Because he said the guy was always 8-8, seemed like. Jeff Fisher he would find a way to be about 500. 7-9 to 9-7.
I got into an argument with somebody at the office break room. Not argument, but debate. We're talking football.
Talking water cooler.
At the time, this might have been 8 years ago, maybe a little longer. But I said Jeff Fisher was a good coach, and then he went to the Rams because I'm going off after he left Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to the Rams, and after he left the Rams, I didn't think he was a good coach anymore. So
yeah,
getting a little bit off track here, but I want to bring up Jason Winningham's his list of Tennessee Titans, Oilers quarterbacks. He has Warren Moon, Pastorini, McNair, Cody Carlson. Forget about him. I don't know how great he was. He was a good quarterback for a year or two, I think. And Oliver Luck to OG. Oliver Luck, I believe, and Archie Manning both played on the Houston Oilers at the same time. There's a
good gene pool.
Man, you know what I mean? So Oliver Luck, obviously the dad of Andrew Luck, and we know who Archie Manning's kids are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to see. I'm go ahead, B-Dur. I'm just looking up something real quick.
I'm again in this one. I get Dan Pastorini, probably 3. I would say 2 McNair, 1 Moon, 4 and 5 don't even register with that team with me. So
4 and 5.
Yeah, no one was there long enough and had good seasons. You know, so it's like me. Like do you want me to put Jeff Blake in there? Do you want me to put I think it peters out after 3 to me.
So Oliver Luck was a Houston Oiler. I'm looking to make sure. And Archie Manning, they played 2 years together in Houston. I don't remember. All my memory of Archie Manning is with the Saints. So I don't know if he was the starter.
Yeah, running for his life with the Saints.
Running for his life, yeah, no doubt.
That's what I assumed we were going to do with Joe Burrow, to be honest with you. I was expecting him to be the next Archie Manning. But hopefully we've solved some of those offensive line issues.
So I would say Warren Moon. I think Warren Moon should be in the Hall of Fame if he isn't.
Oh, he's got to be.
I think he is.
Got to be.
But yeah, Warren Moon. And then again, Steve McNair won an MVP.
Yeah. I mean, I love watching Steve McNair play. I mean, you think about toughest quarterbacks of all time, he's got to fall in the top 5, I think of immediately. He was tough.
No, Warren Moon is not a Hall of Famer.
That's crazy.
No, he is. I'm sorry. He is. He's Pro Football Hall of Famer and Canadian Football Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But Steve McNair, man, just to keep it related to the Steelers, before the draft, during the draft lead up, there was a lot of talk about the Steelers drafting Malik Willis. And I would have been okay with that. I mean, because I didn't think Kenny Pickett would be there. You know what I mean? So I would have, if we were going to take a quarterback, I was going to want Malik Willis over Corral or Ritter or some of those other guys. But Malik Willis, my comp to him was Steve McNair. I see a lot of similarities in their game. I mean, obviously, Malik Willis wasn't wasn't, but Steve McNair came from a small school. He came from Alcorn State, HBCU. And so, they took a chance. He sat behind Warren Moon for like 2 or 3 years. And then when he was ready to play, he was ready to play.
Yep.
But no, so that's just an interesting thing. We're talking about Steve McNair, and I had Malik Willis to comp for that. But so Warren Moon, Steve McNair, I probably would have to go. Hey, who's the kid? I'm not putting him on my list. That the Titans drafted out of, I believe, Washington.
Hold on. Locker.
Jake Locker. Jake Locker. Yeah, I mean, you got guys you forget about. I mean, and then the quarterback that. So, hey, I'm just gonna leave it at Moon and McNair, man. I mean, I'll throw Kenny Stabler in there because he's a Hall of Famer and he played for the Oilers. I don't think his best year obviously with the Raiders, but I'll throw him in there. So we got Jacksonville. We talked about Cincinnati first-year squad. We came back to Jacksonville. That was easy. We talked about the Oilers.
Well, these next two are rough.
Let's go ahead and get into the Browns.
Do we have to rank them all 1 through 42 that they've had in the last 10 years?
They've had a lot. You're right,
man.
Just the notable ones worth talking about.
I'm gonna tell you. I worked a little bit on this list. I stayed in the Super Bowl era. But if you're not in the Super Bowl era, I think you got to give a shout out to Otto Graham.
Otto Graham.
But if you go back into reality in the Super Bowl era, you got Sipe, Kozar, and I'm going to give a shout out and a nod here because I think he got a raw deal. I think they didn't do anything to get him an offensive line or anything around him. And they just let Tim Couch go out there and get killed. And I thought he had an opportunity to be a pretty darn good quarterback. See, and they didn't give it to him. But I gotta be honest with you.
Let me ask you this.
You get. I think Baker Mayfield's in their top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
Wow. Well, first, let me say, Tim Couch. They drafted Tim Couch number 1 overall.
Yeah, Achilles Smith went 2. I'm very aware.
And in that same draft, if Achilles Smith went 2, there's a almost borderline Hall of Famer that went in that same draft after those 2 guys. Went to five NFC championship games. Played for Andy Reid.
Okay, McNabb.
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
So I always look at that draft as they took Tim Couch, but the Browns could have had Donovan McNabb.
Hey, you know what? They would have broke him too. It's just the way that was going to work out. Whoever went there was going to be a broken soul by the time they left. They had no line play. It was just a setup for failure.
Do you know this dude, Brian Drew? Is that a Browns quarterback?
If you throw a name out there, it was probably a Browns quarterback at some point.
Jim Spencer.
Yeah, I'm sure. He sounds like somebody that was there like 10 years ago.
So,
you ever read these names? I'm trying to pull it up now. Like it's maddening. So you just talk about starts.
So I gotta put Vinny Testaverde in there.
Vinny Testaverde needs to be in there. You're right.
He was the quarterback the last time he went to the playoffs before Baker took him year before last.
But look at what Testaverde. So I'm looking at it right now. Testaverde played 2.5 seasons for them.
Yeah, 37 games.
So look at start at 2000. Doug Peterson, Tim Couch, Spurgeon Wynn, Kelly Holcomb, Jeff Garcia, Charlie Fry, Trent Dilfer, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Ken Dorsey, Bruce Gradkowski, Colt McCoy, Jake Malone, Seneca Wallace, Brandon Whedon, Thad Lewis, Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McCown, Austin Davis, Cody Kessler, Robert Griffin III.
It's true.
Deshaun Kaiser, Kevin Hogan. Who's Kevin Hogan?
He's a kid. He played at he's from out here in Virginia, but he played at Stanford.
Okay.
I bet he's probably still in the league on a practice squad or something. But he was a decent talent coming out of high school.
Brian Sight, Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Tim Couch, Baker Mayfield, top 5.
Browns is the Browns. I think they're making moves to get better. Like, I don't think they are as bad as they were 5 years ago when they were talking about 1-31 over 2 seasons.
No, they're not like that.
You know, I mean, they made the playoffs. They were 8-9 last year. They didn't finish in the cellar last year. Actually, Baltimore did. The Ravens. So I think Testaverde was nice.
Yeah, he only played 2.5 years there.
Right.
So I can't put him in front of. I put him behind Tim Couch just because I think Tim Couch got a bad shake, and Testaverde only played 2.5 years. I think Testaverde's by far a better quarterback than Tim Couch.
Testaverde did more by virtue of taking them to the playoffs. So on that list, to me,
I have the argument on an NBA basketball team, one player can take you to the playoffs. In the NFL, one player cannot take you to the playoffs. You need more than one.
Derek Anderson had a good season too. I think if I remember correctly, he took them to the playoffs one year too. No, maybe he did. Maybe they finished 10-6 and just missed the playoffs.
We're sitting here talking about quarterbacks that made the playoffs. The next team we're going to talk about a team that drags a bunch of quarterbacks to the playoffs.
Let's real quick go ahead and give your top 5 Browns quarterbacks real quick.
I got Brian Sight, Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Tim Couch, Baker Mayfield.
And I have Brian Sight. Again, like I talked about Kenny Anderson and Boomer Esiason. Brian Sight also won a league MVP.
Yeah. Year before Kenny Anderson, right?
Yeah. In the 80, Kenny Anderson won 81.
Yeah.
80 was the year the Browns lost in the conference championship game to the Raiders. But yeah, so Brian Sight, Bernie Kosar, and I'll go. I have Vinny Testaverde. Our top 3 are the same. I probably would have to put Baker Mayfield at 4. He's already 3rd on the all-time list.
Yeah, I would probably put him at 4 over Couch, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to show Couch some love.
And I mean, so I guess we're just leaving Otto Graham out because we didn't see Otto Graham play, right?
I just went with the Super Bowl era.
Okay, makes sense.
67 on.
So yeah, then I probably have to put Tim Couch in there if that's the case. Then it's not a whole lot to choose from.
There isn't.
But okay, now let's go ahead.
And I agree that is with the last segment here by Kevin, that is all garbage. Because if you look at, like, when I look at this, the Ravens is a weird one, but other than that, I think it's Cleveland's had the weakest quarterbacks in our division. Period.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
From Baltimore's inception, for a while they struggled to find a QB. I mean, they won the
did.
Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. their inaugural quarterback was Vinny Testaverde was the carryover from Cleveland to Baltimore.
I think Flacco's as good as anybody on their list.
I might have to agree. Flacco got a Super Bowl MVP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he fell off quick.
Oh yeah, when the tires didn't like get retread, they went bald and burst. They were done.
So your top 5 Ravens quarterback.
I go Flacco 1. I go Lamar Jackson 2. And then I struggle. I mean, I got maybe Vinny Testaverde 3.
Don't forget.
McNair had a cup of coffee there.
McNair, yeah, and they were good.
That's what. This was. I had Ravens listed as king retreads because you look at Kyle Bowler, John Harbaugh, Steve McNair, Elvis Gerbach,
John Harbaugh,
Randall
did for a year.
Randall Cunningham, Jeff Blake, Chris Redmond. They tried everybody that they thought they could retread.
That's what I said. For a lot of years, they were looking for an answer at quarterback.
Dilfer.
They had Tony Banks and Dilfer at the same time.
Yeah, and like I said, that team, that defense and that team drug a bunch of quarterbacks into the playoffs and to Super Bowls.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they probably drug Flacco to the playoffs the year they won the Super Bowl. He just got hot in the playoffs.
He got hot there, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Once he was there, but the defense got him there.
Yeah, he threw a couple deep balls, and yeah, Gerbach was okay, but he was only there, you know. Him and Testaverde the same way. They were both okay, but they were both there for just a couple. Yeah, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl there. That was the year they had one of the greatest, top 3 defenses of all time.
That was 2002, I believe.
This is a 2 or 3. Steelers. There's a Steelers 70. Was it 76 Steelers was the best defense of the 70s? Yeah,
you got to put the Steelers.
I got the Steelers. I got the 85 Bears and the Ravens, and the top 3 defenses of all time.
And the Ravens.
Yeah. Cunningham went to the Ravens. I think he only started 2 games. Got hurt.
He was certainly there. That was pre-Minnesota Randall Cunningham, right?
No, that was after.
That was after Minnesota?
Yeah, let me double check the time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Go ahead and look it up. But so my top 5 Ravens quarterbacks, I got to go Lamar Jackson. Then I'll go Flacco. I mean, Flacco won a Super Bowl MVP, but he got hot in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has carried him to the playoffs most of his career, and he won a league MVP. GT saying that the defense wanted for him. Yeah, that was back in 2002. He did. I'd say in the playoffs, Flacco wanted for him because that game against San Francisco was like a 35-31 shootout or something like that. The Harbaugh brothers coaching against each other. But I go Jackson, Flacco. Man, it does get tough, doesn't it? I guess I got to go Dilfer. I mean, nobody would think Flacco and Dilfer are Super Bowl winning caliber quarterbacks. But you know, the Washington football team that did the same thing. They won all their Super Bowls with different quarterbacks. You got Theismann, you got Doug Williams, and you got Rippon. Jackson, Flacco, Dilfer. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there, man. I mean, because like you said, a whole bunch of
retreads.
Yeah,
was getting drug around. Randall Cunningham played there his last season in the league, 2001. Okay. That was not only after the Vikings, that was after the Dallas Cowboys cup of coffee he had. That doesn't register with me at all. I don't remember that at all.
I got I guess I'll put Steve McNair fourth. I mean, because he was there, they were. I remember them being 13-3 a couple of times, I believe, while he was there.
I mean, when you start looking at this list, it really tells you how good that defense was.
You're right. Wow, Dilfer Joe for all-time Buccaneers quarterback. Oh, he laughed at that. Okay. Oh, I forgot about RG3.
Yeah, he didn't really play there. Only a handful starts.
Okay, now let's go ahead and get to who the people came for. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterbacks. And like I said earlier in the broadcast, I go back to Terry Bradshaw. The first game I remember was the 1980. Well, the season was 79. The year was 80. Super Bowl. Steelers versus the Rams. First Super Bowl I remember. Pittsburgh won that game. Terry Bradshaw had about 3 touchdown passes, I believe. But so my Steeler fandom goes back to slightly around that season, that time. But in that time, so I remember Terry Bradshaw. I remember Mark Malone. I remember Cliff Stout. I remember when David Woodley came for a little bit. He was the quarterback that took the Dolphins to the Super Bowl before Dan Marino got there. There was David Woodley. Then I think there was Bubby Brister. Then there was, after Bubby Brister, it didn't go from Bubby Brister to Neil O'Donnell, but that's how I remember it.
Mike Tomczak?
Mike Tomczak was there. But I feel like Mike Tomczak was there later. I'm pretty sure he was there later because Tomczak was still at Ohio State in the late 80s.
Yeah, you would know that better. Is he the second best Ohio State NFL quarterback of all time behind Art Schlichter? No, Schlichter wasn't your guys, was he?
Yeah, Schlichter was Ohio
Who am I
State.
thinking about? Did he?
Yeah, Schlichter was Ohio State.
Okay.
He's the last player. Yeah. Well,
so
Mike Tomczak was 93 and 99. So,
and the third best would be Tom Tupa, but that was because he could punt.
And he was a punter. Well, this is not about Ohio State quarterbacks, man.
I know. I'm just throwing shade at you. Keep going. For those of you who can't see, go ahead. Keep going.
But so Mike Tomczak, Neil O'Donnell. Kent Graham was in there. Kent Graham was Ohio State quarterback too. He had a career in the NFL. Cordell Stewart. Then Tommy Maddox. And then after you get to Tommy Maddox, it's easy. Then it's Big Ben. I mean, you can throw some of the backups in there. Charlie Batch, Byron Leftwich, Michael Vick, Mason Rudolph, And I don't know that there is a top 5. Claude remembers. I know who he is. I don't remember seeing Joe Gilliam play. Claude, did you see Joe Gilliam play? He was he might have been like the first African American quarterback in the NFL. Joe Gilliam. Let's see. Now you got people coming. Okay. Jason
Scott Campbell.
He remembers Tom Tupa.
Yeah.
Who is this? Scott Campbell? Mid-80s? That's not the same Campbell that played for the Detroit Lions, is it?
So it looks like Scott Campbell played 2 games for you guys in 1985.
Okay.
Mark Malone started 8, got hurt. And then David Woodley came in for 6 and Scott Campbell for 2. Mark Malone and then went straight into Bubby Brister.
And Bubby wasn't that bad, man.
Bubby went straight into Neil O'Donnell.
Okay.
Tomczak was after Neil O'Donnell.
And Bill Doyle reminds of the Duck. Yeah, Duck Hodges.
What a cult following he had, man. He was the most popular guy. He could have been the mayor of Pittsburgh, I think, at one point.
Yeah, obviously you were living there during that time.
Yeah. Man, he won a couple of games he wasn't supposed to, and everybody here loved. The story's fantastic. You know what I mean? But just, yeah, he was the city was ripe for his picking.
Let's see.
It was a news story here when he retired last year. It was on 93.7 The Fan. It was everywhere.
Do you agree with this list?
I would put O'Donnell ahead of Tom Zach, and yes.
So Cordell Stewart and his 2 AFC Championship games don't belong on the list of top 5?
And maybe put him instead of Bubby Brister.
Maybe put him instead of Tom Zach.
I think Tom Zach's better than Brister, don't you?
For the Steelers?
Yeah.
I don't think. You got the numbers there? Oh. We're getting some nuggets dropped on us. Yeah, the Steelers got off Johnny Unitas quick and traded him away to the Colts, and he goes on to a legendary Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
But they did have Johnny. I think they drafted Johnny Unitas. But no, so the question about Cordell and Mike Tomczak.
Oh, I was Bubby Brister and Mike Tomczak.
Yeah, Bubby Brister and Mike Tomczak. Oh yeah. I definitely. So I got Big Ben, my Steelers top 5. Big Ben, Terry Bradshaw. The first 2 are obvious, should be on everybody's list. Then I'll probably go Neil O'Donnell because he went to 2 AFC Championship games, went to a Super Bowl. Then I go Cordell Stewart. Then I go Bubby Brister.
I have a very unpopular opinion.
Jim Miller. Remember Jim Miller?
I have a very unpopular opinion in this city, but I think there's a big gap between Big Ben and Terry Bradshaw. I think Big Ben was much, much better than Terry Bradshaw.
I don't know that you'll get an argument with that. I mean, you said Terry Bradshaw's numbers. I mean, 212 interceptions. I mean, 212 touchdowns, 210 interceptions. I mean, but Bradshaw was the quarterback of a team that had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame running back, a Hall of Fame center. I forgot Mike Webster when we talk about the offense too. So there's another Hall of Famer. Yeah, and a defense that was just great. I mean, Ben was kind of the force multiplier, the engine that drove the team, and Terry Bradshaw was a driver. You know what I mean? If I'm using that analogy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have any. So you get people that tell you Bradshaw is better than Roethlisberger.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna take Bubby Brister over Mike Tomczak just because Tomczak had more career interceptions and touchdowns.
Say it again now. You gonna take
Mike Tomczak had more career interceptions than career touchdowns, and I don't have to really dig too far into that. I mean, that's not good. They're both at 50-some% completions. Looking at just their Pittsburgh work,
but you know, third.
Tomczak had 1 year he went 10-5.
That for the Steelers or for the Bears?
I'm looking at Mike Tomczak, 1996 quarterback record 10-5, but that's not because of him. He completed 55% of his passes, threw 15 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. Again, defenses dragging trash cans into the playoffs with him.
Yeah. He's currently coaching at Youngstown State, Mike Tomczak is.
Yeah, Jason Winningham here. Mike Tomczak took the Steelers to the playoffs. I just went through his stats that year. 54% completions and had more interceptions than touchdowns. He didn't take anybody anywhere. He got took to the playoffs.
So
listen, the 1996 defense could have just bought him a ticket to the playoffs instead of having him play quarterback.
What year was that?
1996.
So that was the year after the Super Bowl and Neil O'Donnell went to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So did they still have like Barry Foster and Rod Woodson and Bam Moore's running back, and probably Yancey Thigpen still was there. They had a good team. I mean, they just lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He comes in, takes them to a 10-5 record. Yeah, Bradshaw has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Big Ben has 1? No, he has none. Big Ben has no Super Bowl MVPs. Kind of like the Steph Curry argument. We just won the Finals MVP, had 4 championships, and just got his first MVP. In the Super Bowls for the Steelers, it was Hines Ward and then it was Antonio Holmes.
I understand that, but I get Santonio Holmes won that one, but Big Ben played really well in that game and threw one of the best passes in Super Bowl history. Now, when you guys beat Seattle, the best pass of that game was thrown by a wide receiver on either side.
Randall L., but he was a quarterback in college.
In college, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hines Ward was a quarterback in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, so wrapping up, man. Like I said, so since we're talking about quarterbacks and we don't know about Deshaun Watson, but we know when he comes back, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. We know Lamar Jackson. We know Joe Burrow. So, I forgot about dude too. T. Martin. His son plays in the NFL. I believe he's the wide receiver, Amari Rodgers, for the Green Bay Packers. Who's going to be the Steelers quarterback this year? Who do you like? What do you see happening when training camps get started in about 4 weeks from now?
I think that I think they'll start off with Trubisky, and I think it's the right move. But I also think, if you guys have a really good team, right? So let's start off with Trubisky. Let's let Pickett kind of learn a little bit more, get a little bit more into the speed of the NFL game, and then maybe if 6, 7, 8 games down the line things aren't going the way you want them, then maybe you pull that trigger. But I would go with Mitch.
So you go with Mitch right away?
Mm-hmm.
That's I kind of flip-flop on that, man. Like, I was all Mitch. Then I hear some chatter, some talk about Kenny Pickett is an experienced college quarterback. Like 49 games played.
He is, but the one knock on him coming out of college that he would get happy feet when pressured, especially up the middle. So if you start getting happy feet in the NFL and you step up in the pocket and let those guys come off of blockers, you're going to get hit hard. So I think it could be more damage than good until he gets his sea legs under him.
Jason Winningham calls them baby hands. Let's see what Britsburg says. Start Kenny coming afterwards after the bye. I believe the Steelers' bye is week 8 or 9. I believe Mason's out of here. I don't believe Mason is even a viable option. I believe they have Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Chris O'Doolican grooming him as the future backup. But that's still a project. That's still 2 years, 3 years away. They got Mitch for 2 years. Kenny's on his rookie contract, so he's there for 5 years. But I've been fluctuating on this one, man. I like Mitch. I like what the potential Mitch. Like, Mitch was a 2nd round overall pick. If he can come in and show some of that potential and play good with a good team, and I believe Matt Canada's system can fit him. A lot of,
And I don't think he's trash either. I mean, the guy made a Pro Bowl. The guy made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think he's trash. I think he might have been put in too quick because he only played 12 games in North Carolina. That's where Kenny Pickett has played 49 games.
Yeah.
Part of me says, like, you guys threw Joe Burrow in there.
Yeah, I agree.
He played 2 seasons.
I agree.
I mean, so part of me says go with your first round guy. The defense is going, the running game is going to be good enough that you can win with him while he's learning on the job. You know what I mean? But part of me is saying that Mitch brings something too that you got to see. I mean, so I wonder, what do we do?
Britzberg just hit the nail on the head right there.
What did he say? Where at?
Played for Nagy, one of the worst coaches in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that did not Nagy did not stand the test of time.
Yeah, he led the Bears to the playoffs. Yeah, so hey, so like I said, I'm torn, man. I mean, so whoever comes to camp and just does the job and wins it out, I'm with that guy. I had an ESPN update on my computer here. I lost it. It said that Jacoby Brissett likely to be the Cleveland Browns opening week quarterback, and who knows how long that'll go for.
All year.
But yeah, man. So we're ready to get out of here, man. We're at the hour mark. So thanks to everybody in the live chat for joining us. All your opinions are great and much appreciated. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, B Dirt will be back with me. I go off his schedule, but I'm here every Sunday at 5:00. B Dirt, what's up, man? You got any parting shots? Anything to say?
Parting shot. I'm gonna give you one guy from the Bengals to look at this year that's not on very many people's radar. Joseph Asai, out of Texas, tore meniscus last year, sat out all year.
Defensive lineman?
Defensive end, linebacker. He's going to play edge rush for us, opposite of Hendrickson. And I think he's going to get more time than we think. He's real raw. Came over from Nigeria, never really playing football. Keep an eye out for him. I think he's going to be a good one.
Okay. And my parting shot is you guys lost defensive lineman.
Yeah, you guys just picked him up, didn't you?
What's his name?
Ogunjobi?
Yeah. Larry Ogunjobi.
Yeah.
And how many seasons did you guys play for you guys?
1 or 2. Yeah, he wasn't there very long.
Yeah, he just played 1.
Yeah.
Last year.
He just played 1, yeah.
Last year.
But good player. Very good player. He's going to help you out a lot. He's going to fill up 2 at spot. Yep. He's going to fill up 2 at spot for you.
And where'd you guys go last year?
To the Super Bowl.
There it is.
Ogunjobi's
the missing piece.
That's a hot take. That should be a segue to Big G Birds. Go check
made the Super Bowl because Ogunjobi was there from Cleveland, or because you guys got Mike Hilton from us. But no, I think
Hilton played a bigger piece.
I like Ogunjobi though. I mean, he has 7 sacks. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, not at all.
He probably was like, if not first, second in sacks for you guys. I bet at least second
or third. Hendrickson was way farther than that.
Okay, Hendrickson's probably like 14 or 15.
Yeah,
forgot about him. But yeah, man. So that's it. I just wanted to bring up Ogunjobi and kind of tease you with that one, man. Hey, thanks, Kevin, man. We appreciate you and everybody else watching, man. We'll be back next week. I want to say thanks for joining us. Check out all the other podcasts on the BTSC family of podcasts and network. What did the guy say? This is your one-stop shop for all Steelers information.
On your way out the door, shout out Jason Whittingham's last take. Let him have the last word. Love it.
He just wins championships with Danny Green does, right?
Yep.
He's a journeyman.
Get traded on the 11th hour. Get traded at the 11th hour. Go to the Super Bowl. I hear you.
But yeah, man. Check out all the different podcasts on YouTube, the audio podcast, the Jeff Hartman Let's Ride, all the shows during the week. Tonight there'll be the Steelers Q&A. Tomorrow on YouTube there'll be the Hangover with Brian Anthony Davis, Shannon White, Tony Defio. Be sure to check them all out, man. I'm about to jump off here and go do the you go check it out, B Dirt, the Know It All podcast.
You know it.
Probably in about 15 minutes. But yeah, you guys have a good week. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. And here we go, Steelers. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.